Welcome to another in the series, Sip and Chat, a place where we talk about the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. It's our pleasure this afternoon to be coming into your homes and to be talking about the goodness of the Lord. Welcome to another in the series, Sip and Chat. It's our Sunday evening program where we engage our viewers into a very interesting, dynamic, inspiring conversation about topical issues which we know are of paramount importance to you, regardless of your age, your stage in life. We believe that by listening to this program, you can glean enough fuel and momentum to go another extra mile. So, welcome another time to our program, Sip and Chat. Well, for quite a while now, since the month of January, in fact, we have been talking about commitment. And it is something that I believe that if we get commitment right in a number of areas in our life, as we go throughout this year, 2023, then a lot more things will be in alignment. So it's a very important topic. And I have with me today a good friend of mine who I've known for quite a while. She is a accountant, she is an educator, she is a mom par excellence. She will talk more about that. So I want to welcome the Sip and Chat viewers to my esteemed guest this afternoon. And most of all, she will tell you she's a child of God. To Sip and Chat, I want to welcome you to Sip and Chat. I know it's your first time, and I know you have a lot to offer our viewers. But just tell us a little bit about who is Francine Prince.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for the invitation. Dr. Tomlinson is, I would say, a mentor and one that I really admire and one that I respect greatly. So first, I must just thank you for, a fine example that you've set.
Thank you.
And one day too, I hope that I will be the esteemed.
Oh my God.
But Francine James Prince is a visionary. I've been serving the Lord for pretty much all my life. I got baptized at the age of 12 years old. Of course, when you go to university, there is a time where you strayed from the moral values and principles. But as the word teaches, once you train up a child in the way they should grow, they will not depart. So I did not depart for too long and came back to the fold. The Lord has been so gracious to me and has blessed me with 4 beautiful girls.
Right.
And but before those girls could have come, He has also given me a wonderful husband.
Oh, yes.
I must thank God for my husband Orlando Prince. We've been married for 13 years now, and it has been in fact our theme was a match made in heaven.
Okay, great.
And I really want to thank God for bringing him into my life. It has caused such a great difference. Um, I'm very active in the church. As you mentioned, I'm an accountant. I'm a chartered accountant by profession.
Right.
I currently work in the government service. However, in the church, I am the treasurer at my church.
And that's good too. That's good. Bringing our secular skills into the whole church arena for the improvement of the body of Christ. So that's good. That's good. So Francine, we're going to talk today. As I said earlier, I'm going to continue on this whole theme of commitment. And you said something that I want to start the discussion on. You said, you were saved from you were 12 years old, and then you went to university, but you came back on track. And so, first of all, we wanted to applaud the parents who, like you rightfully said, trained up the children in the way that they should grow, which is a commitment that each parent should make, right? And it doesn't mean that the parent is perfect or they have all the things together, but a parent should know what is right from wrong. And having done that, then you would make the transition to the wider society. And what I'm hearing you say is that when you made that transition, even though there were moments when you kind of drifted a little bit, you were able to come back. So talk to us, first of all, on the commitment of the parent role to ensure that those nurturing stages, those early stages in a child's life, that some of those kind of values are imparted to children. Talk to us about why that is important and why parents should really commit to doing that.
I must say it is extremely important. I remember as a youngster growing up. My father, basically when I was younger, my mother was not a Christian, but my father was a Christian.
Right.
And so when I got to go to church, it was with my father. And when I went to church, when it was break time and all the other young children would be outside running up and down, and or whenever service is going on, and sometimes in church first parents allow their children to be outside, not hearing the word, not being a part of what's happening. But my father was very strict on me sitting right beside him every single service. Sometimes I used to feel so bad because when I look outside, everybody gone for water break, everybody outside, the young people chit-chatting, having a good time. But my father trained me in that way to sit and listen to what is going on.
Right.
It's not easy as parents. We have our lives are so busy, and sometimes we ourselves are so overwhelmed with the task of managing our own personal lives to, in addition, be managing the lives of your children. But it's very important. And I strongly believe it was that insistent on me sitting and listening to the word of God. I didn't have a choice. When others had the choice of being outside, you go to church, but you're not hearing what is going on. So it doesn't get a chance to transform and impact your life. I didn't have that opportunity. I had to sit and listen. And I believe it's a lot of those sermons, a lot of those messages that I got that helped me later on in my life when it became to making some critical decisions. I remember, so even though I went to church with my father, I was the child who weekdays you're with mommy, weekends you're with daddy. Okay. So my mother at the time was not a Christian. And I remember, I think a lot of people probably wouldn't believe this. I remember at 15 years old, there was a dance in the community. And my sisters, brothers, cousins, everybody going. And my mother came to me and said, you don't want to go, you can't go, man. Imagine, I'm a Christian, and my mother was encouraging me to. And it had to take discipline on my part and commitment to my faith from then. And I decided that, no, Mom, I cannot go, because going would go against. I had that conviction based on what I learned, going to church, that I cannot say that I'm a Christian and yet still I'm going to go to a dance because my mother gave me permission to go. So as parents, it's important to train up your child in the ways of God. Because once you train them up, I'm telling you, when the pressures of life come, if I didn't have that training from my father's side, I probably would have gone and had that. You're a young person. When you're young, you're encouraged to live and enjoy life and do what you feel to do whenever you feel like doing it. But it's very, very important, and so I want to encourage parents. Sometimes you're training up your child and you don't see the immediate results in their lives. Don't get weary. Don't get disheartened, because a lot of times they are listening. And I'm telling you, in the periods of their life where it matters the most, those decisions or what you've been telling them, it comes to the forefront of their mind. And once you've trained them up well, you can be assured that you're going to be making the right decisions. So,
wow, that is so powerful. I mean, here we are saying to parents on this Sunday afternoon that you need to understand that you have a responsibility to me, when I think about children, I always see it as a gift that the Lord has so entrusted you with this responsibility to nurture this life for as long as you'll be able to, because sometimes children make early decisions that even though you're the parent, you're not necessarily there to nurture, because they might leave and go abroad or stuff like that. But for the time that you are able to nurture this life, and I think that the breakdown in our society, whatever reason, which are some of the reasons we can look at, where parents are no longer there to nurture their children, is what is causing some of these social upheavals, these social conflicts, these social disharmony. Because even just to get along with peers, children, young adults find it so difficult now, because they never had that parenting where they understand that, listen, this is how you operate in this kind of situation. It had nothing to do with whether your mother was educated or not. Morals and values were just things that you had to understand that they were critical to your existence. So talk to us now. So what we're hearing here is that once you give them out, and even though sometimes it might seem like the children are not ingesting, I always refer to them as unearthing gems. right? You might be saying something to your child and you might think that it's not going for it, but trust me, most times in the moments when it matters most, those children are going to pull from what they have, their reserve, their deposits. And so it's the things that you impart in them. You know, even when we talk to some of the adults, you know, some of my peers and stuff like that, and some things that they're doing now as parents are things that they would have chastised. Oh, my mom was wicked because she let me do this and I couldn't go that. And she always said, we have to do this. No matter how you were hungry, you had to do this. And no matter who the person was, you had to say good morning or good afternoon. And you couldn't just pass as you feel like you had to. So I think it's important that we get back to some of those things. Do you believe that there is a direct correlation now between the society that we see our children engaging in and how the parenting is being manifested?
I fully endorse that. The decay or, you know, in morals that we're seeing. One, it's not just, a lot of persons are of the theory that, oh, it's because of social media and so things are now more being brought to the front. That's why these things have been going on. But I agree with that. But what I would say is definitely the decay is because of a lot of, in fact, the word of God teaches us that you have to train to godliness. A lot of persons are not doing training anymore. You don't look at it as training, but when you correct your children, that's training.
Right,
it's training.
Right. That's
you're in a society now where parents allow children to do as they please without any reprimand or any correction.
And even the fact that there's this so much room now for dialogue between children and the parent. And I'm not saying children don't have a voice, because that's something that we really push on this program, that we must hear our children. But there has to be boundaries. Those boundaries must be very, very clear. And the reason why this commitment to parenting is very important, because I have the opportunity to interact with a lot of young people. And some of the things that we hear coming, that parents are now saying to children, listen, man, you know, even as some students are in fifth form, parents are saying, listen, me don't spend for you now, you have to go hustle for yourself. Time for you to find a man and help me out. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, at fifth form, we could barely have a boyfriend.
Exactly. I know. And you see, one of the things that affect especially Jamaican society, you see this barrel children, where a lot of parents, in the pursuit of a better economic life, they go overseas. And so so all the financial needs of the children are taken care of. And they are normally left with either aunt or a grandparent, or, you know, sometimes the persons that they're left with, not that they're not showing love, but it is so funny that the children, they want their parents. They want to, whether or not they're going to go to bed eating just a bulla or just a slice of bread, to have the love and affection of a mother or father sometimes is far more important to them. And these barrel children, where you're saying you're making life better for your child, but better in what way? Better economically, but not in terms of the moral and preparing them with the godly character that is needed, right? Another thing too, where you find that back in the days, even though parents were not going to church, they would still send their children to Sunday school, still send them to church. You don't have that now. So what you find is how persons are deriving their morals as to right and wrong now, it's coming mainly from social media, from the internet. These things are good, but with everything there ought to be boundaries. Because what you find is that the person on social media that they are listening to, you have no idea as to that the moral guidance that that person lives their lives by. And so when they begin to impact your child and it's conflicting with the moral values that you would want to see in them, you're going to have issues. And so it's such a delicate balance that is needed. Some parents are present, so it's not that they're overseas and sending. Some parents are present, but because they so much have a hands-off approach and allow social media to be passing on the values that their children should have, you know, I strongly believe, and that's one of the things I do, I really monitor the amount of time that my children spend on social media. In fact, I set it on their devices where once they've reached a certain amount of time for the day, it shuts off. It requires a parental code for them to continue. And because it is important, another thing too is they're not learning morals from interacting, from playing outside and you hit a friend and they cry. They're learning things by watching a video, something that is, packaged and presented to you.
And victory and excitement is when you shoot a man on Fortnite or one of those games.
Yes.
So their idea of a lot of the fun that they have is really about killing and
Yeah. And so when you find that it is so easy, I always say it in Jamaica, it's as if we have no regard for the sanctity of another person's life. It's as if we don't realize that the breath that is in our nostrils, no man can give another man breath. This was given by God.
Right.
And therefore, this is something that you should not think that within your power, it is okay to just stop another person's breath because they have somehow crossed your turf or, caused you to feel displeased. And we're in a society now where persons are begun so self-centered, so selfish that if you do me wrong,
I'm gonna get you.
Exactly.
I'm gonna get you. I think it is so important, and I know that our viewers are benefiting significantly from this discussion because what we're saying is that a lot of times we have to make economic decisions, like we rightfully say. But even in making those economic decisions, we have to make sure what are the support systems that we're leaving in place, and how often do we check in on those support systems and with our own children as well. And I want to just reiterate that point that you make about the whole matter of social media. As you rightfully say, it is a delicate balance because what some people are saying, oh, when I give them the tablet, even as small children, we say, oh, when we give them the tablet, they keep quiet. And so the quiet time that they know is quiet time with a game.
Yeah.
Quiet time with just interacting. But back in our time, our quiet time was go sit, read a book, and so on.
Yes.
And so even though, yes, we understand that times have changed, there are still some things that the newer parents need to look into. For example, I have a young son, right? And so sometimes I see him put up some DP. And, coming from the old school, I don't like anything that look too strange.
Yes.
Because I'm going to look, what is the origin of this? What is this connected to?
Yes.
Because my commitment is to be the best mom that God has entrusted me to be. And so, what is this? Mommy is a cartoon. I said, what does cartoon mean? And if he tells me the name, which is what I'm seeking, I'm going to Google
and research,
and I'm going to see what this cartoon is connected to. So call me a fanatic, call me whatever, but we have to make sure that we are trying to bring forth the best in these youngsters because guess what? We want to have a society that when we decide to retire, we have a society that we feel comfortable in. And based on the current trajectory that we're in, things are looking very, very, very dim because the increase in the number of crime and violence, all the proliferation of just indiscipline around us is something that concerns us, right, as a society. And it has to be the voice of somebody has to come forth and say, listen, we have to commit back to some things that worked in the past and that were successful and see how best we can try to then cause a generation to be exposed to some of these things.
You see, there's another thing where a lot of parents, they somehow go to the extreme opposite. Some parents, they would say, I grew up in lack and I didn't have this and I didn't have that, so I don't want my child to experience any lack. So they go to the other extreme of giving the child every single thing that they desire and that they want. But there are a lot of things that they learn from the lack that they had to experience. Right. And
that's an interesting point.
There are a lot of things that we learn. The experiences in life. Sometimes we're not preparing our children for the real world.
Because they want a Nike, they get a Nike. They want a John Sports, they get a John Sports. So it's like everything that they want is microwave to them and they get it. So when the rubber meets the road and they have to be really, and we're not saying don't make provision. If you have it, give it to your child. But even in that, help them to learn the lesson. It's like even a child, when it is to them, you know what? You are blessed. Yeah? And the reason you are blessed is because every morning that you wake up, you get a breakfast. I remember working in the inner city, down Greenwich Town on a project. And I remember this child always get 2 hot dogs. Okay. Right? She always asks for extra. We had enough and she would have an extra hot dog. But the thing is that she would never eat the extra one. Well, everybody would be eating their 2 and even whatever. She'd never eat the extra one. And then I remember, one day we said, why you always save the hot dog? I mean, she takes very good care. She gets it. She keep it, because it's already moist and stuff, and she keeps it. And in her household, basically, sometimes there was no dinner. So she came to the center.
Wow.
She had her hot dog, which was mostly her dinner.
Right.
And then she would make sure, or if there was dinner, it was going to be late because her mom would come home late. Sometimes they would be sleeping, right?
Wow.
And so what she does is that she takes another hot dog for her sibling. And they would sit like close to the roadside at a light post, and she would explain that that's where sometimes they would do their assignment. I went back and I was sharing that with somebody, and everybody was like, "Wow, like Miss, you sure?" And so because they have never had that experience, and when we brought those other children into that community to show them what those kids were exposed to, man, they were willing to give, they were willing to interact with those students. And even one parent came back and said, boy, it's like that is the best lesson in terms of appreciation. Because all the time when she was imparting to her child about what it means to be grateful, it's like it just wasn't happening because they weren't seeing where they have to be so thankful for what they had. But when they saw the other side, they went to the other side of the tracks and they saw what was happening. So parents, what we're saying is that whatever we do, we have to have a balance. We must be accountable to the life that we have been entrusted with. We can't give it up to somebody else. It is our responsibility, right? We know that there are parents out there, they work very hard, and they have to work very hard because we have the whole matter of just mom alone. But we're saying while on your path to secure financial gains, let us still be intimate with our child, know what is going on in their lives.
It's important.
Yeah, because that's where we miss them sometimes.
Yes. And as you talk about the work environment for parents, we're having a lot of frauds now being exposed in the society recently. One of the reasons for fraud is financial pressures. So persons may say, oh, well, you earning this amount of money, what kind of financial pressure? But when you have become accustomed to a certain lifestyle, and when your salary is unable to maintain that lifestyle, then that financial pressure of the slogan, keeping up with the Joneses, is what forces some people into doing things that are morally and ethically, it's wrong.
Wow. That is such a good point, because on the matter of commitment, I want you to talk to us, Mrs. Prince. How is it that we make those decisions, right? When we see something that we either want, we don't need to know, we want, and we step beyond that ethical boundary to take it. What is it that we need to be saying to ourselves to avoid? So as parents, we teach the children, but when we get to a stage, how do we maintain those healthy habits?
It's not easy, but ethics is what is, in my profession as accountants, we're guided by ethics. And I'm sure most other professions, because persons have come to realize that everybody's moral standing, or how what you learned as morals and what is right and wrong is very different. And therefore, as a profession, it's important for you to have standards. And so therefore, you learn about ethics within your profession. So one of the things that is important, and I find it, is integrity.
Right.
Doing the right thing even when no one is watching.
I always remember that definition.
Yes, integrity.
Yes.
And you find that person nowadays, or integrity is being questioned.
And it is and the thing is that the reason why integrity is being questioned, because now a lot of people have a different things as to what is morals and what is ethical. So there is this fluidity between right and wrong, and good and evil, and so on. So the fluidity is what is causing the problem, right? Now, like back in the days, if you came home from school and your mother gave you 3 pencils as bite off them beer, you came home, your mom left the house with 3 pencils, right? If you came home with 3.5, you have to say whose 0.5 is that, and you have to make sure you take it back.
There's no accountability anymore.
Exactly. So because there's no accountability, no commitment to making sure that you train up this child in the way that they should grow. Children are doing whatever they want to do. By the time you recognize what is happening, sometimes it's too late. And that is why this program is so important, because what we do now in terms of rearing our children, what we commit to now is what we're going to reap in the future.
Exactly.
And so, we have to get back to some old landmarks,
Yes.
send them to Sunday school. I mean, even if they come back and they can barely tell you John 3 verse 16, even if they say to join up, send them. One day they will decide for it.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? And the thing is that too, part of these social agents, as whether good or bad, is that you send them to church, they're more likely to build better relationships with people of their kind.
Exactly.
When sometimes they're on these social spaces now, they have friends all in Hong Kong,
yes,
and they don't even have visa.
It's so true.
Timbuktu, and they don't even have visa. And it's amazing the things that these children are doing.
That's
all right?
So true.
We have to commit, even if your child has a phone. Child can't have password on a phone.
And you don't know the password.
And you don't know the password? No. You have to commit to making sure that you're going to be a good steward of the responsibility that the Lord has given to you.
Yes.
Because sometimes when you look in some of those WhatsApp, I mean, I'm sure they'll reach an age, probably you cannot read the WhatsApp.
Yes.
But for now, while you're paying the rent, while you're buying the clothes, you're going to commit. So listen, I'm in charge right here.
Exactly.
When the boys are a little big guys, a little bit harder, because you have to jump on the bed to straighten them up. But they must say, listen, look at me eyeball to eyeball. But we have to commit. We have to commit. And I really want us to, this year, whether you're a parent, whether you're a physical parent, because we have a lot of parents who might not have physical children, but whichever sphere you find yourself in, mentoring, we have to commit to build a better Jamaica.
Exactly.
And that's what we're touting here in Sip and Chat, that each person, their own little jurisdiction, silos, wherever you are, but this program is global. We have to make sure that we do our part and help people. We have to commit to it. And we're going to help somebody this season, this year, to be the best that they can be. What are some of your closing thoughts, Miss Prince?
So, closing thoughts, I would say, in this time where, as you mentioned earlier, it's as if it's so blurred. The lines are so blurred between what is right and what is wrong. There's always a standard. There's always a standard. And what we need to remember is that God gave us that standard in the Word of God. If Proverbs is a scripture of wisdom, if we read those Proverbs and make them become a part of our lives, we will be better people. We will get wisdom on how to really live our lives so that we can maintain the moral standards and live cohesively and live together as a society.
Great. So today we want to commit to some ethical values. What are those? Trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. We have to commit to something, because like we always hear people say, if you don't commit to something, you will fall for anything. We know this is a very dynamic season, and it seems like every color is in view, but we must know what are the standards. And I remember as I close that Joshua says, he had it quite clear. He says, as for me and my house, that was his commitment as a father in his house. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. I don't know what your commitment is, but you have a responsibility to set standards and to champion those standards. Whatever things are honest, whatever things are pure, and whatever things are of good report are some of the things that we first need to commit to and need to impart those to the next generation. Once again, on behalf of our team here, thank you so much as we continue to sip and chat. Let's commit to making a change.